say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
Take a 5, Kit Kat break. You know what I mean? Like, that's just too much.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphor?
Does it ever feel like Hollywood is fueled by secret deals and twisted motives? Because that's exactly what's happening right now, with the alleged revelation that Sabrina Carpenter was all but guaranteed the role of Disney's newest Snow White, only for Rachel Zegler to swipe it right from under her. People are calling it the biggest casting scandal in recent memory.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
One that supposedly showcases how far a determined star will go to secure their place in the spotlight. Here's the kicker. Not only did Rachel take the role, but the entire production apparently nosedived at the box office, leaving everyone to wonder if all that backstage drama was even worth it. And trust me, the meltdown has sent shockwaves throughout the industry.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
Raising major concerns about Disney's strategies and whether the studio has lost touch with its own audience. This fiasco draws a harsh line between two women who both wanted to be the face of one of Disney's most cherished princesses. Only one of them ended up wearing the crown, and the other was left dealing with betrayal and heartbreak.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing, before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
But if you think that's the full extent of the chaos, buckle up, because this rabbit hole goes much deeper. The alleged manipulations, leaked confessions, and fan outcries have turned the once-beloved Snow White remake into a cautionary tale of shattered hopes, misguided ambition, and multi-million-dollar losses. People are already speculating.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Queen, playing the evil queen, it was pretty amazing.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's gonna lose money on this movie, and I believe it only made less than $1 million.
Was Sabrina Carpenter poised to become the next big Disney princess? Apparently, yes. She had the look, the voice, and the goodwill of a massive fan base. Rumor has it that she'd gone through intense auditions, multiple callbacks, and was even in final negotiations for the role.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
Part of the first, fairy tale ever told.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Then, out of nowhere, something happened behind closed doors. Producers who had been enthusiastic about Sabrina suddenly pivoted, conveniently favoring someone else. And in the blink of an eye, it was over. Sabrina's team found themselves in disbelief.
Oh my God.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of...
Last week was a very big week, objectively a huge week. We had quite a few announcements. It's the first live-action film, which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me, I'm Snow White, which is so fun.
While Disney executives swiftly introduced Rachel Zegler as the brand new Snow White. So how did we go from Sabrina is on the brink of signing to Rachel is the official princess? The story gets murkier with every turn. Several individuals close to the production say Sabrina's final screen test was practically perfect, but the decision to cast someone else was sealed before she ever had a chance to celebrate. To add a heavier note to it all,
pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Lines that they say, like magic mirror on the wall. It was a lot of fun.
She came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far. But it wasn't.
Those same insiders claim that once the door shut on Sabrina, it locked for good. She wasn't offered a compromise role, and she definitely wasn't given any clarity on what went wrong. That stark shift from near certainty.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs, but they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it, the disability, like we're a disability group. You just erase that whole.
To absolute dismissal has fueled countless rumors. Was there sabotage afoot? Did someone whisper a few strategic lies? But that wasn't the whole story. Allegations from anonymous crew members and suspicious onlookers paint a rather unsettling picture. Rachel Zegler, fresh off another high-profile gig, supposedly used her newly acquired connections to strong-arm the casting process. Some folks say she worked her network flawlessly, wooing influential casting directors, producers, and even snagging Disney's top brass in private conversations to push her agenda. One might call it savvy self-promotion, others label it blatant manipulation. Insiders whisper about how Rachel suddenly became omnipresent at Hollywood gatherings. She popped up at exclusive parties and events with key decision makers. According to them, Rachel was politely forceful, making sure everyone with an ounce of influence knew she was the perfect Snow White for the modern era. Did she slander Sabrina? In these circles, no one has direct evidence, but speculation is running wild that the narrative was heavily spun to favor Rachel's image. And let's not pretend that these behind-the-scenes maneuvers were entirely innocent. There's a difference between marketing yourself as a strong candidate and launching a quiet campaign to undercut a rival. Some in the industry think Rachel walked that line and possibly crossed it. Still, the specifics are shrouded in hush-hush meetings and off-the-record phone calls. And what happened next would shock everyone. Disney fans expected this live-action Snow White to be the next major blockbuster, something that could overshadow even the colossal successes of previous remakes. Instead, the film's opening weekend collapsed, leaving executives in a panic. Critics tore it apart, audiences flocked to social media to air their frustrations, and the rumored $115 million shortfall promptly made headlines. But let's cut to the heart of it. Many are blaming the fiasco partly on the film's messy lead-up. The negative chatter about the production overshadowed any attempts at generating excitement. From day one, people blasted Rachel Zegler's portrayal as too far from the classic innocence fans expected. Others pointed to contradictory statements she made during press tours, fueling more disdain. Audiences were confused, critics were bewildered, and the typical Disney magic was suspiciously absent. This monumental crash begs a painful question. If the film was doomed from the outset, did Rachel's alleged backstage push do her any favors? The harsh truth is that now her name is tied to one of Disney's biggest recent duds, and that fiasco has overshadowed any praise she might have earned from previous roles. But the meltdown doesn't end there. Open any social media platform, and it's like stepping into a raging inferno of opinions. Sabrina Carpenter's supporters are furious that their idol missed out on this high-profile dream role. They're convinced that her charming persona and vocal prowess would have revitalized the character in an authentic way. Some have gone so far as to say that Disney's entire approach was misguided from the start. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler's critics have grown louder. A flood of viral hashtags demand explanations for the casting fiasco. Reddit threads dissect every interview Rachel has given about the film, comparing them to Sabrina's more grounded style. And of course, conspiracy theories abound. Some are convinced that Rachel orchestrated everything, leaving Sabrina's fans feeling cheated and resentful. On top of that, watchers who loved the original Snow White are venting about how this live-action remake missed the entire essence of the classic tale. They're disappointed by the film's direction, the overhauled storyline, and the final product, which just felt off. In so many eyes, it's a double tragedy. Sabrina lost out, and the final movie itself was hardly worthy of the Snow White legacy. But little did anyone realize how deep these resentments would reach. By now, countless rumors have emerged about clandestine backroom deals and hush-hush phone calls that practically sealed the film's fate. Several producers, who remain nameless for fear of repercussions, hint that the project never had stable footing to begin with. The creative direction was apparently all over the place, with rewrites happening right up until filming wrapped. Here's where Rachel's influence supposedly reared its head again. There are claims that she got final script approval, or at least some form of creative input on how Snow White would be portrayed. Perhaps a normal perk for a rising star, but many suspect she exploited that leverage to push out Sabrina from the get-go, ensuring there was no fallback plan in case her own performance flopped. Those same sources say Sabrina's name got mysteriously scrubbed off possible cameo ideas. At one point, the production supposedly toyed with having Sabrina appear as a secondary character or even a cameo to appease the fans. Then, poof, those ideas vanished without a trace. That raised eyebrows among various insiders who started to question if Rachel directly opposed the notion. Skeptics question whether these covert power plays are normal for a big production or if this was a new low in Hollywood politics. One thing is certain, nothing about the final cut screams collaborative effort. It's become the poster child for how quickly a cherished classic can become a polarizing dude, and in the midst of the fallout, there was one voice that refused to be silenced. People who've been following Sabrina Carpenter for years know she's no stranger to adversity in the entertainment world. She broke into mainstream fame and faced her fair share of scrutiny, but this alleged sabotage involving Snow White cut deeper than your average career hiccup. Sabrina kept quiet initially, likely bound by confidentiality agreements. When Shia finally did speak, or at least subtly acknowledged the fiasco, fans saw a glimpse of heartbreak behind her usual poise. She never explicitly named Rachel or described the sabotage in detail, but there were hints dropped in cryptic social media, posts and interviews. In one instance, Sabrina shared a casual anecdote about trusting too easily and learning some heavy lessons, sparking immediate speculation that she was indirectly referencing the Snow White role. And guess what? The outpouring of support was massive. Hashtags championing Sabrina as the rightful Snow White soared, spurred on by fans, fellow entertainers, and even some critics who believed she would have given the film genuine heart. People admired how she handled the situation. No public meltdown, no dishing out tabloid quotes, just a classy acknowledgement that something shady went down. Now, thanks to this wave of support, Sabrina's star power has surged to new heights. Music sales, streaming numbers, and concert attendance apparently got a noticeable boost as supporters rallied around her. They want the world to know that she deserved more than what she got. But the real kicker, even as Sabrina remains relatively gracious, many are looking at Rachel with fresh suspicion, wondering if every step she takes is another orchestrated move in a grand scheme. Still, that's not the conclusion of this saga. Rachel Zegler might have won the role, but the victory could be short-lived. The catastrophic box office haul has triggered a lot of damage control efforts from Disney, and inside sources claim the finger-pointing has already started. Heads are allegedly rolling in marketing departments. Executives are analyzing how they can recoup the losses, or at the very least, minimize the ongoing negative publicity. Meanwhile, Rachel is facing the uncomfortable truth that a once promising gig turned into a cinematic disaster. Instead of celebrating a triumphant portrayal, she's busy dodging questions about her rumored backstage antics. Insiders allege that her once enthusiastic champions in the industry are keeping their distance, concerned that she's become a magnet for controversy, and the press isn't letting up. Every red carpet appearance, every social media post, and every interview gets flooded with comments about the Snow White meltdown. Rachel's attempts to defend her involvement often sound defensive, leaving fans to wonder if she truly believes she did the right thing or if she's just weathering the storm. Industry veterans warn that her reputation could suffer long-term damage if she doesn't address the Sabrina Carpenter allegations head-on. To date, she's largely dismissed or avoided them, leaving critics to speculate that she has something to hide. The tough reality is that you can't stay silent forever in Hollywood when the rumor mill churns this loudly. But the final revelation might be the most surprising of all. It's easy to boil this entire ordeal down to a petty rivalry between two rising stars, but insiders point out that it reflects a more systemic problem within the entertainment industry. Hollywood thrives on image, public perception, and, yes, that intangible quality we call star power. If Rachel Zegler leveraged those things to push Sabrina Carpenter aside, it highlights a casting ecosystem that allows big names, or those with the right connections, to overshadow raw talent. Disney, once a paragon of wholesome, high-quality storytelling, now faces accusations of losing its moral compass. Critics say the studio's hunger for sensational headlines and radical reimaginings of classic stories backfired spectacularly with Snow White. The internal bickering, the questionable casting, and the negative social media firestorm are overshadowing any attempt to produce nostalgic magic. On a broader scale, the fiasco serves as a wake-up call. Fans are demanding more transparency and respect for legacy. They want modern updates on classic tales, sure, but not at the expense of quality or authenticity. And they definitely don't want the movies they grew up loving to be overshadowed by personal vendettas. So where does that leave Rachel and Sabrina? By some twist of fate, their names will be linked forever, especially because of this humiliating production meltdown. Sabrina seems primed to come out stronger, supported by an army of admirers who believe she was wronged. Rachel, on the other hand, faces an uphill battle to restore her image, but there's one last punchline left in this dramatic narrative. In the end, the Snow White controversy stands as a dramatic testament to Hollywood's cutthroat environment, where ambition can sometimes overshadow integrity. This time around, Rachel Zegler allegedly put everything on the line to seize the role of Snow White, but the resulting film turned into a box office failure, humiliating Disney and disappointing fans. Worldwide, Sabrina Carpenter, initially left in the shadows, emerges with her dignity intact and an even broader audience championing her cause. What does all this mean moving forward? It means the film industry isn't just about raw talent or the perfect voice. It's about who you know, how you spin the narrative, and how you wield your influence behind the scenes. If Rachel's alleged tactics are any indication, there's a high cost to playing the game. Perhaps the time is ripe for a new era where authenticity triumphs over backroom deals and manipulative ploys. For Disney, the stakes couldn't be higher. With multi-million-dollar budgets and iconic stories on the line, the studio now finds itself scrambling to prove it can still deliver the wonder people expect. And for fans, this fiasco offers a harsh lesson. Not every beloved classic should be modernized at the expense of the very heart that made it special. As we close the book on this scandal, one question lingers like a haunting echo. Was this entire debacle destined from the start, or did the alleged sabotage push it over the edge? The industry might never give us a clean answer. But one thing's for sure, everyone's eyes are on Rachel Zegler and Sabrina Carpenter, watching to see how each star will move forward from the ashes of a fairy tale gone horribly wrong. Will the real Snow White please stand up? Because the one we got just isn't cutting it. And with that final question, the story of ambition, betrayal, and a disastrous box office run concludes, at least for now. Tomorrow's headlines might reveal another layer of secrets. But today, the takeaway is painfully clear. Not all fairy tales have happy endings, especially when big egos and underhanded tactics enter the kingdom. The aftermath of this Snow White debacle may echo for years to come, reminding every bright-eyed hopeful in Hollywood that the journey from dream to reality can be paved with staggering betrayals, shocking twists, and brutal lessons in the price of stardom.